You are listening to Power Stance Gamers Podcast, the best place for quality tabletop banter. With your hosts, Jacob, Greg, and Muddy.
Alright, welcome everyone to our brand new episode. We're going to start doing some game reviews as we go through. Every other week we're going to have 1 week of our banter, our conversation, the stuff you love, and the next week's going to be a game review. Now before we get started on this one, in today's game, let's just announce it right now. Muddy, what are we reviewing today?
We are going to review one of my favourite games, one of the best pick up and just play shenanigans games, Mantic. Walking Dead.
All Out War.
Oh, sorry. All Out War.
Thanks, Greg, for reminding us that. And what a perfect opportunity to introduce the two people sitting on the couch beside me. Forgot to do. What a great start to this new episode. I've got David Muddyman.
Hi, guys.
And Mr. Greg Millsop.
Hello, listeners.
I just got so excited. New review episode. We just want to get straight
How
into
can you
it.
not get excited about this? This is seriously one of the best games that you can just pick up out of the box, straight into it, and just having a laugh.
And probably the second hottest brand at the moment. Game of Thrones being the number one, and I would say Walking Dead is probably the second, probably as far as the TV show and comics and the whole, rights and all that stuff. I would
Yeah,
say,
what do you reckon?
It's up
what
there
about
as far as
Star
IP.
Wars?
Star Wars is always going to
Oh,
be
sorry.
top.
Yeah.
I'll
It's one of the big
rephrase-
three.
As far as the TV
Top
show,
three.
I'll
Say
say
top three?
Television shows?
As far as the television
Oh,
show.
I got
Definitely
you.
love television shows.
Yep.
And before we do get into the review, dear listeners, I would love to invite you to give us some suggestions for games you want us to review in the next couple of weeks. We've got quite a bit of a catalogue lined up already, but if you think there's something you go, man, I want to know what Muddy's going to think about playing Malifaux, or you go, Greg, he needs to get some Napoleonics in his system.
Malifaux scares the crap out of me, I just want to say. Like, you see the miniatures for it? They're creepy as hell.
They're
I
great.
remember
The
seeing
great
the
miniatures
little
don't-
teddy bears and whatnot.
Yeah.
They're awesome.
They're
Really.
awesome. We're not talking about Malifaux tonight, but that is one of the reasons I got into it, is that I didn't know anything about it. I'm like, I saw these like Victorian ladies of the night zombies and the Mad Hatter essentially with his I thought, oh, that's so cool. I didn't know anything about the game. I saw the miniatures and went, bam.
All right, can I ask some questions?
About Malifaux?
Yeah, straight in. I know we're doing Walking Dead.
Yeah,
but
we're supposed to
just
do
really
Walking
quick
Dead.
ones. Just really quick. One, what are the miniatures made out of?
Plastic?
Oh, is there any dice at all?
No.
Oh, all right. You know the rules pretty well.
Yeah,
I'll
pretty
throw
well.
down with you.
Excellent.
If you've got a crew. 'cause-
Okay, anyway, right, just leave it there. So, Walking Dead All Out War,
Someone's in a hurry.
Before we get too sidetracked here, the episode is about Walking Dead All Out War.
That's
Oh,
true.
sorry.
We probably should stay on topic, considering it's a topic.
It is the whole topic.
Episode, yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, some facts before we get into the actual review. So, as we said, the name
This
is
is why we keep him around.
Yeah.
The Walking Dead All Out War. It was released late 2016. The manufacturer's Mantic, as Muddy indicated. The type of game we actually had a bit of debate about. I'm going to roll with a board game.
I'm going to say gateway, baby.
I'm going to say hybrid.
That's what a
there we
gateway
go.
is.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm calling it a gateway hybrid.
Well, I still think there are
Yeah.
gateway board games and there's gateway tabletop
All right, okay. I'll try just to be simple. I'll call it a hybrid.
games. Okay.
Is that
Okay.
better for you?
Works
Cool.
for me.
Okay.
Yep.
Recommended resale price is $60 or $59.99. if you want to be
Australian.
precise.
AUD.
Yep. Number of players, again, we had a bit of a debate about this, but we reckon between 1 to 4 is a real nice,
You can do
mix.
1 players. Obviously, 2's premium,
preferable.
but 4 players works just fine.
I've seen games with 6, 7 players
Yeah, I'm
being
sure
played.
you could go as many players as you wanted, realistically.
Yep.
But it will obviously slow down the bigger you go.
Yeah.
But I think 4 players is a sweet spot as well.
Game time runs between, we reckon, 30 minutes quick game to upwards of 2 hours, we reckon, for a more complicated
Yeah,
game.
4 players. What we cracked on. That's about 2
We
hours.
cracked 4 players.
And that was,
out 2
oh
hours.
god, that looked good. The 1 player little scenarios out of the book, yeah, you're looking at 30 minutes.
And yes, there's expansions. Currently there's Prelude to Woodbury and Days Gone By.
Yep.
As well as the numerous blisters with
booster packs.
I shouldn't say single miniatures, but booster packs that have got a couple of zombies and a couple of special characters.
Yeah, they usually come with a main character, maybe someone else, and then a zombie. Plus all the equipment
and
cards.
the equipment
and whatnot.
cards, which is the real reason you want to buy them.
Yep.
And I think it's important to tell our listeners also that Muddy backed the Kickstarter.
I did. I'm a Kickstarter
And
backer.
How many waves did you, 2 waves did you back?
No, I think Wave 2's coming, but I got I think I went it was a while ago, the terrain pack. I didn't get the prison one. I think, Sloppy Sloth Slayer got the
gonna love
the
you
prison,
guys.
which is that's gonna look really good. I'm kind of kicking myself now with that one.
That's alright. It's just you
We'll
have to wait a little while for it.
We'll just
And-
use his.
Jacob, you got the off-the-shelf copy from the shop.
Yeah.
Yep, but it was a Kickstarter one.
Jacob
Wasn't
didn't get Kickstarter.
No, I didn't buy the Kickstarter edition.
Oh, but they were selling them for a
They
short
were
period of
selling
time.
them,
Yeah.
I just bought the off-the-shelf one and a bunch of boosters, and I
Yep.
bought Kickstarter exclusive boosters off the shelf.
Yeah.
So, go figure.
Gotcha.
So,
Yep.
so for purposes of this review, we'll try and keep it to the actual off-the-shelf box, 'cause
Yep.
since that's what
Standard
the listeners
box.
will be
Yep.
will be grabbing.
Okay.
So, Money, take it away. The one thing I'll ask you first of all, the
Yep.
biggest thing that you love, aesthetics.
Oh, this game has got it.
Agree. It looks fantastic.
Do you think it's easier for a skirmish game to pull off the aesthetics out of curiosity? What do you think on that?
I'll just quickly jump in.
Yeah.
Aesthetics out of the box.
Okay.
So we got two
Right.
layers
So this
here,
is
really.
this
Yeah,
is where it
yeah.
comes. Okay, so when you're pulling it straight out of the box, it is a board game. Now, I'm not a board game guy. I don't get into it. It doesn't drag me into the scene. It doesn't look pretty. It works fine. The mechanics are fine. But it doesn't draw me in. So when I'm talking about and reviewing this game, I am literally talking about you can take the mat that they provide in it, which is a paper mat.
And it's 20 inches by 20 inches.
Yeah, it's only small, but we generally run with a small board, the same size, so everything looks nice. Instead of the flat cardboard tree or forest stands, we're putting actual trees on the board.
Muddy, do you reckon we could get, for the listeners,
Some photos
of
the board.
what you get out of the box, the terrain?
Yeah,
And then we'll obviously have some photos, because we've played some games this week
Yep.
that we've taken photos of, so we'll chuck them on the socials as well.
Yep.
Just
Yeah.
as a nice comparison.
Yep.
And okay, so sorry, I'm going to go off the site in a bit of a tangent. So I come from the 6 foot by 4 foot or 4 foot by 4 foot gaming systems.
Yep.
And we're talking about 20 inches by 20 inches. So does it work? Is that big enough? It just
Oh.
doesn't seem big enough to me.
Well,
No, it's fantastic. It works so well here because it's such an intense game. If you were playing on a board any bigger, especially deeper, as in more distance between the two players on opposing sides, you're going to lose the danger of the zombies. And we'll talk about how the zombies work later on. But if you've got more room to maneuver around them, they're not an obstacle.
I
they're
think
not a threat.
shooting then becomes way too overpowered then, because you can just pretty much sit
You've
back
got
and
time.
just ping at anyone.
Yeah.
Whereas because everything is so close, that means the terrain's obviously bunched up, so line of sight becomes a thing too. Next, you might take that shot, but now the zombies are right on you, or perhaps you've got a guy running across and just punch you in the face.
And then let's just talk about, you mentioned about terrain. So do we have lots of terrain on the board? Do we have hardly any terrain on the board? Like, how does it work? I suppose with two aspects. Number one, with what's in the box.
Yep.
And then what else you can do outside that.
So terrain, they give you a couple of guides in the rulebook, and each terrain element has a points value.
Points.
So
Yep.
Right, okay,
a
that's
fence
interesting.
or a barricade might be 1 point, a car 2 points, and standard trees 4 points depending on the size, up to a building which might be 5 points.
Yeah.
So, and on the scale, it's not going to be a big building, it's a shed or a garage or a small house or something like that. So the idea is that you want, they say for a 20 by 20, 14 points worth of terrain. So that essentially is if you have 4 cars and 6 barricades, that's your thing.
That's a really good idea. I really like that.
Once
Gives you
again,
a really
this
good
is
guide, doesn't it?
this is Mantic, okay? Now, Mantic is big on running simple rules. I think we've discussed this before.
Yep.
But balanced and able to be taken into a competitive mode.
Yep.
So points costs come straight into it for these guys. Once again, when you're building your crew, it's based on points, and the equipment that you may want to equip them with is based on points. The zombies are points. The terrain is points. So everything is basically costed out to make the game as balanced as they can with the system they have.
So I think that very interestingly, you could set up a game with someone and go, right, I want 200 point crew.
Yep.
Then you bring 10 points of terrain and 200 points of zombies.
Yep.
You know, and that way you rock up with the same thing, and that's enough for a very balanced game.
Yep.
Because you can't, obviously you can't just take all the terrain. You've got to think about what might be useful there.
Yep. But the thing with the terrain, I do, if you just want to throw the board on that you want, because you're going for a particular theme to the board, crack on with it.
Yeah, and that's
Seriously,
how we've done it.
just crack on.
Whenever Muddy and I have played games, we've not counted points of terrain. We've just gone, put a service station down, put a couple of cars.
We put down what looks
good.
like it would look like in the comic book, in the TV show. Whack those zombies in. Let's go.
Yeah, that's cool.
And it becomes a bit of theatre.
All right.
Yeah.
So what I want to know, right? Zombies. How does it work? How does it all work?
Well, we discussed this in our zombie episode, where I guess it's similar to Zombicide.
Yeah.
Essentially, they're reacting to noise, or if they're near you. That's essentially it. They are essentially being run. They're reacting to what we're doing.
Yeah.
And that's I think that's the best way you could do it.
Yeah. I think the way it works is every time your character does an action, it's got 3 essential outcomes. It's silent, doesn't create any noise. It creates noise, in quotes, which brings one zombie.
Yep.
The closest zombie within 10 inches to you, and the zombies always move 6 inches.
Yep, 6 inches
Always
in a
move
straight
6
line.
inches in a straight line.
Yep.
And then if they hit terrain, they stop, and then they move around terrain next move.
Yep.
Or they've got things that cause mayhem. So this is like explosions, loud gunfire,
Firing off your rifle.
that sort of stuff, and that brings every zombie within 10 inches.
In a
Move
straight
towards
line,
you.
straight towards you.
And each zombie then has a kill zone, which is 1.5 inches around it.
Yeah, it's the old
essentially.
Warhammer template.
Yeah, it's got a template
Yep.
that sits over top of it.
Yep.
So basically, as Muddy's saying, they're reactive. They react to the actions of the players. But the other thing too is they're also event cards. So during the turn, the turn breakdown goes, you basically you have initiative, so one player's going first or second.
Yep.
And then you alternate your moves there.
Yep, it's alternating. So one person will have the initiative.
Yep.
So essentially, they get the first movement of the turn. But apart from that, everything is you go, I go with each individual.
Yep.
And so zombies are reacting to what we're doing on the board straight away.
So they can be pulled back and forth in different directions.
Yeah, and there's shenanigans to be had by creating noise in a certain direction to pull zombies in a direction that is favourable to you.
Yep.
So the way I'm hearing it is, I'm playing against you, Jacob, or you, Muddy, as my opponent. Your crews were fighting, but the zombies are providing an extra level of complexity and additional element to the whole game system as it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I suppose with that, so how do I play you in a game? How do I win? What's the point? Is there
Resources.
missions?
Yeah, so the standard mission that comes in the box, and we haven't, in Australia, I haven't got the competitive packs released yet. You can't get them, can you?
I don't know.
With the different scenarios.
Yeah.
So I assume there'll be more scenarios coming along, but the one published one for competitive players, essentially, there's resource markers on the board. And as soon as you capture 7 of the 9 markers, you win. Or the other thing, too, is that there's a threat tracker.
Threat tracker.
So the idea is that there's always more zombies coming to your location.
There's a herd coming.
There's a herd coming. And when that threat tracker reaches the top, which I think is 18 or 19 on the
It's time to
top,
bug out.
that's it. That's game over. So whoever's got the most then is the winner.
Yep.
The threat tracker goes up by gunfire,
Gunfire,
by fighting,
explosions, and the event cards.
and the event cards.
Yep.
So once you've done your move phase, and in the move phase, that's when you shoot as well.
Yep.
Then you have an event phase where you draw a card, basically. And that gives you the narrative event of the turn. So
Yeah,
maybe a
right.
car alarm goes off, or maybe a fire breaks out or something. And this can, draw more walkers around, or they might move walkers around, that sort of stuff. So there's a whole bunch of
New
stuff.
zombies coming into the area. The amount of times we've been looking at the board, and maybe we've popped a few off, and you're thinking, all right, I've got a clear shot here. You pull that event card, and we roll up, I don't know, on the blue dice or whatever, a whole bunch of new zombies just coming on, and it just chokes it up again. You're like, oh, we're back to square one again.
And interestingly, before the cast, you were showing me the mechanics.
Yep.
Whenever you, say for example, create noise, they're drawn to you, like they walk 6 inches.
Yep.
Everything within 10, say if you shoot,
Yep.
everything within 10 inches moves 6 inches towards you. So
Yeah.
that's a huge, on a 20-inch
20 by
board,
20
Yeah.
you've got essentially a 10. If you're in the middle of the board, you're pretty much getting everything on the board.
Yeah, yeah.
towards
And
So
this
you
is
can
how
see
you-
what I was saying
Yeah,
about
yeah,
if
you
the
get
board's any
choked.
bigger,
Yeah,
you
Yep.
lose that threat.
yeah.
And you've got to
100%.
use the terrain to your advantage.
But
you
how
know?
many times have we seen that in the show and in the comics
Yeah.
where the reason they survive is because they use their environment around them so
hiding
well.
behind the car, or
Yeah.
you know, I think that's perfect.
Oh, yeah.
It's only good for that one turn, but that's all you need to maybe bug out. You might have pulled a whole bunch of zombies away from some resources, so you can get someone else to slip in while the zombies are distracted to get the resources to win the game.
Certainly from what you explained at the start, I reckon managing the zombies is going to win you or lose the game, because you could certainly use the zombies in a way that takes them away from you and puts them more in your opponent.
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
critical to do that.
Even just sneaking around and firing
Yeah.
a pistol or something.
Just to draw the zombies
to
towards
draw
your opponent.
zombies towards your opponent.
Mm.
Yep.
You are listening to Power Stance Gamers. And now, this.
Alright, what about the miniatures?
See, this is where I'm a huge fan.
Yep.
Because they've got the license for the comic books.
Yep.
Not the TV show.
Yeah,
Mm.
we might make a point there. This
Yeah.
is based on the comic book series.
Yeah. I mean,
Rather
the
than
TV
TV.
show has
It's
done a
kinda
great
similar
job
at the start.
of bringing the
Yeah.
comic book characters to life.
Yep.
But there are certain things like Rick doesn't look like Rick.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's the thing. But
Which
the Rick
may
miniature
make some
looks,
people might look
Yeah,
at it
it's
and go,
not-
wait up, that doesn't
that's
look
not
like
I'll
Rick.
put my hand up
Yeah.
and say I'm one of those people that I know the TV show.
Yep.
So to see Rick not as Rick, just,
As you know him.
yeah,
Yes.
bamboozles my brain. But then
Yeah.
when I look at
That's
the comics,
That's
I'm
the thing.
like,
When I
spot
saw the
on.
TV
Yeah.
show, I'm like, Rick, that's the English guy from Love Actually.
That's exactly
he
right.
holds up the signs to
Yeah.
Keira
And
Knightley.
talks in a Ponzi voice.
Oh,
Yeah.
I've
Really,
never
that's not
seen it.
Rick. He's not a Southern sheriff.
Yeah.
Well, he is now.
He's a Ponzi Londoner.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Great actor, by the way.
Andrew Ling is a good actor.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll
great
give him
actor.
props. Well, there's sometimes
If you listen to this,
that
Andrew-
accent, Carl.
Oh, okay.
If you listen to this, Andrew, big fan.
Yeah, we'll hit him up. We'll get Marty to tweet him.
Post him on the socials.
I'll write a
Hit him
letter.
up. Yeah.
Write him a letter.
So
He won't read it. He'll go, what the hell is this you've sent me?
No. He'll love it.
it's I think the characters, the miniatures are fantastic. Something we probably should mention here is that the way the game's set up is you get your crew together with your characters and with a certain amount of points, and then you upgrade them by giving them equipment, which is also worth a certain amount of points.
Yep.
And each character belongs to a faction, or they're neutral.
Well, neutral.
So you
Most
can't
are
mix
neutral.
factions.
Yep.
But you can have neutrals with any faction. So, for instance, Rick's obviously the Atlanta survivors. Ezekiel's from the Kingdom.
Yep.
Negan's from the Saviors. All that sort of stuff. But then you get your neutrals, which come in like Michonne. The first Michonne cards are neutral.
She's
So
neutral.
Yeah. The
Yeah, I
first
think
one
even
is.
Abraham is too.
Abraham's a neutral.
Yeah.
So these guys, because at that stage in the comic book when they came in, they don't necessarily affiliate it with anything. I'm sure when we get another edition of Michonne down the line, whose stats are changed, she'll be aligned with Atlanta survivors
Because
or
they
probably
do have
Alexandra by
the
then.
same characters that have been upgraded with different cards and obviously points changes and whatnot.
Yeah.
Obviously to go with the theme of the
Progression.
comic book as their characters progress through the
For instance,
series.
you've got Carl. Carl's three versions of
Oh,
Carl.
there's a
now.
heap of them, yeah.
So you've got Carl as the kid, you've got Carl as a trainee marksman, and you've got Carl as rebellious son.
Yep.
And they've all got a different ability that sort of reflects
Yeah, right.
that point in the storyline. Where
So you mentioned that you obviously build, you tailor a list to play your opponent. Is there possibilities for overpowered characters within your list building?
Do you know what? Do you reckon Andrea was the one that came to mind straight away?
Nah.
No?
And see, I think this is something I give credit to Mantic for, is they seem to get their points right.
Balance, right.
That there's a balance there. I mean, Turret Andrea, we called her. So it's Andrea, who's an incredible marksman, and much more in the comic than the show, by the way.
But we thought this would be the build. We
Yeah.
thought, oh, this will be good. But the game shut her down.
Yeah,
Quite
because
well.
the first zombie that walked
So hang on, so
onward-
Andrea with what?
Turret
You did-
Andrea,
sorry,
so give her a semi-automatic rifle, and a scope, and a silencer, and basically set her up to sit there and just
shoot away.
And she can essentially take out 4 targets a turn if she gets her rolls right. Like, she's great. But at the same time, and I set her up to play this game. Money draws an event card that says he can put a zombie on from any board edge. So where does he put her?
I put zombies right on her, and they just ate her.
Yeah.
So that was 100 points in my army.
That's a big chunk. So the game sort of balanced it out.
The other beautiful thing with it though is the beatstick characters like Negan.
Yep.
Negan is a beast, and he's worth a heck of a lot of points.
Yep.
But he's worth those points.
Yep. Well,
fantastic.
I had Michonne
you give
and
Michonne
Abraham
and
trying to take Negan, and Negan was given just as much as he got.
And the only equipment Negan had was his baseball bat.
And I had Michonne with the
katana,
and whatnot. I think even Abraham, I might have had a sledgehammer or something.
I think he picked it up off.
So they'll go on tit for tat, but 2 of my guys against Negan.
But that's how he is.
Yeah. You know, so thematically it really works.
And I think they've really got their points right.
Yep.
So it's obviously there's a system that they've got.
They've got some secret formula.
It works well because
and just for the listeners as well, I've obviously seen the contents of the box. So how is combat resolved? Like, is there tables? Is there is it D20s? Is there D10s?
Essentially, you've got coloured dice.
Yeah, right.
And on your stat card, it tells you, attack.
The D6s.
So they're D6s.
They're D6s.
There's 3 different colours. So red,
white, blue.
Red, white, and blue.
Yep.
And the red dice have lower chance of rolling a hit than the blue dice, which has a lower than the white dice. Which has a lower chance of rolling than the blue.
Yep.
So the better your character is, they'll have red, white, or blue stats essentially.
Like Michonne in Melee.
That's pretty clever, I reckon. And that's on their stat cards.
It's on the stat card.
It shows red. So straight away you go 2 red dice, boom, off you go. So very quick,
but
easy.
Another thing is on the equipment cards as well. So when you're purchasing your crew and you're adding these equipment, it like a pistol or something might add in the shooting phase an extra red dice.
Yeah,
and this is something that
Michonne might get an extra blue dice in Melee.
Mantic have, I think there's probably something that has come across from other games, similar games where you're buying your character and then you buy the upgrade and it's all on cards. And the X-Wing's the one that jumps to mind.
Yep.
But I know it happens in other games too. So, you buy your ship in X-Wing, then you buy the upgrades. It's all on the cards there. Yep. It's the same thing here with...
I have to say, I personally love that.
You were loving the cards, weren't you?
Well, no, I love that that whole aspect of stuff, because what you're doing is it's more stuff, right? So whenever you pack it, when you pop it and you get your X-Wing or your boost or whatever, you got more stuff to do, and you got stuff to feel and touch, and
it's
you
the same.
You pack your cards away, and it's like,
because when I've got Morgan, I'm like, okay, I bought Morgan for the miniatures because Morgan and his son and his wife, zombie, in the pack, and then I open up like, oh, there's equipment cards in here. I'm like, oh, sniper rifle, yes. I'm like, and it's sort of that same sort of thing, and I was like, oh, cool, I'll give that to Andrea and fuck Muddy up.
Yeah,
so
it was Andrea.
It was I totally agree. I think it's great.
And one other point, it's got another D6 in it. You haven't mentioned.
The sheriff's.
Yes.
That's the 50-50 sort of.
Is it 50-50? Because
don't. Well, it's supposed to be. That's for things like
So it's black dice.
It's a black dice with a sheriff.
3 sheriff
badge,
badges and 3 blank
essentially.
faces.
And so essentially it's a 50-50. And that's for using things like whether zombies stand up or not, fights, whether they wound you, your guns, whether the if you run out of ammo, moving over the terrain.
So she's quite a lot then.
Yeah.
50-50.
It is usually a lot, yeah.
Would that be a detriment to, if you talked about tournament play, like it's competitive play, would that not be detrimental to somebody who wants to mass hammer or wants to take that element of probability out of the games? Would that not be a detriment?
Look, it is, but you need to mitigate it as much as you can in your turn. Obviously, the way the dice work, as we're talking, like if you're rolling 2 blue dice for the katana, basically, it might have varying amount of hits on each faces, but there's also a headshot, and unless you take out a zombie with a headshot roll, they only prone, they're not removed. So in that 50-50, whether it stands up or not, that's something you can't control. There's no way to mitigate that apart from rolling as many dice as you can.
You
to get a
mitigate
headshot.
that by not putting yourself in the situation where that could be a problem.
Okay, so what happens when a zombie comes and bites you? You knock him down, and you shoot him and he falls down. But then next turn he stands up, and you create noise, and he runs in, and you fail to beat him up, whatever, and he bites you. What happens then? You turn into a zombie.
Well, what I love about this is that the damage is attacks are cumulative. So if you one-on-one with a zombie, he'll throw 1 red dice. With 2 zombies, they'll throw 3. So
It goes
1 +
up
1
and
sucks.
up.
3 zombies, they throw 6 red dice.
Ouch.
4 zombies, 10 dice.
So
Yeah.
defense is
5
really
zombies,
good right now.
15 dice.
You're going down.
That's it. So
Yeah.
it's that works really well. I've had 5 zombies on me before, and it was just it's game over.
You know you're in a world of hurt.
You can't defend against
Okay,
it.
so against one zombie,
One zombie, you're very
You get
likely
bitten.
to beat it. But if
Yeah.
you get bitten, basically you get a bite marker, and then every turn
You have to
you roll that
on that
50-50 dice.
right? So you don't die straight away. You could potentially get to the end of the game.
Essentially, when you get bitten, there's the possibility each turn that you're going to do another one.
Yeah.
That you're going to get wounded again.
Yeah, there's a good chance your character's going to go down.
Yeah, he may go down.
Yeah.
You just don't know when.
How easy is it to kill? So I'm turret Andrea in the corner, and I want to snipe off Muddy's, Michonne. How easy is it for that to happen? Like, is
It
it?
depends on the individual.
Yeah.
Because they've got, just like in, I'm assuming, most games, they've got different amount of damage points.
Yeah.
So
the big,
Negan, Abraham, 8-9 points.
yeah,
each.
8.
Right. Okay.
Whereas some of the smaller ones, maybe
Sophia has 3.
3.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're very easy, quick to kill, but then they're really cheap in points. What,
Yeah.
10 points or something, as opposed to, Negan, what was he, 80, 90,
80 points,
something like that? Yeah. Once again, Negan is really good, but he's
paying
got a
for
lot
it.
of health points.
You're
He
paying
has
for it.
he has benefits that he can use in game, but he's a lot of points too. And when the whole thing is getting those resources, having one guy roaming around might not be the best option, because you've got to get those resources.
Yep.
And while 80, 90 points of one guy moving around, he might not get as much resources as 6 cheap ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
And what about innovation? Does it touch, you think, on any sort of innovative play mechanics?
I'll let you handle this one, Jacob. But I don't know what else you can really do.
No, I think, I've gone on record before with Mantic saying that they're not particularly innovative, that they do things that other companies are doing, or that they pick up things that companies aren't doing anymore.
Yep.
And I think I see a lot of borrowing here from other games, like X-Wing with your
Zombicide.
building, like Zombicide with
Yep.
your noise mechanics, and
Yep.
the way combat works against the more opponents. It's harder.
Because if you
and
do
stuff.
just get this out straight out of the box, it is a board game.
It's a board game, yeah.
Yep.
But what I think they've done really well is that they've really brought this IP to life on the tabletop by having characterful characters, if that makes sense. Like,
Yep.
Negan feels like Negan, Michonne
Yep.
feels like Michonne.
Yeah. Okay.
The characters are like the characters in the comic book. Like, they really reflect, the play styles reflect like what the characters are. So that's a huge tick for me. And even though, as I said, they borrowed some stuff, and I'm being really harsh here because I'm trying to.
But they've done it well.
But they've done it well.
Yeah, you
It
can't fault
works.
them.
I have to say, I think the Sheriff's Badge is bordering on innovation, because it's not often you have a game where you just pick up one dice and it's 50-50 and that's what it is.
Yep.
You'll have systems that'll go, in this situation it's a 4+, but if you do this, you do that, it'll be a neg or a plus.
Yeah, you're adding. Or
Yeah.
subtracting.
So
Yep.
you can build in
Yep.
and get the probability swing your way. But just to have a blooming dice that is
Yeah.
50-50,
Yep.
like, number one, just drives me insane, because that just blows my mind, because I
Yeah.
just would just go nuts.
Yep.
But in another aspect, I think it's great, because
I'm not a fan of it because I feel that one roll of dice should never cost you a game.
yeah.
Well, we won a
But
game.
like you said, you need to not rely on it or mitigate it.
Yeah.
So
we won that
we
game
did, yeah.
because of that one roll.
Yeah.
That's how close it was.
Yeah.
Now, to me, that's awesome.
Yeah, because
Like, we're all waiting around for this one roll at the end of, 2 hours? Was it?
Yeah.
4
I'll just provide a bit of commentary for our listeners that I played a 4-person game with Jacob, Muddy, and Jono.
Yeah.
Actually, it was
About-
Chad's.
That was Chad,
Chad,
wasn't it?
yeah.
Yeah,
Chad,
Mr.
right.
Math Hammer. Yeah.
That's right, it was too, and he was
Yeah.
math hammering.
Yep.
About 5 months ago.
Yeah,
just after you got the games and
they
you got
thought
all
they
your
had
gear
us.
and you painted
I
the...
thought they had us.
Yeah, and it was one dice roll won it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Boom. Boom.
And again, it's just me thinking that a game should never really come down to one dice roll. Because one side's going to go, yeah, we fucking won, and the other one's going, that's bullshit, it was one dice roll.
Oh,
Man, it's like football and
Yep.
the ref's call and you go, oh ref, what do you do? Because you let that go. And why didn't you say it?
I know.
You got to win the game before the ref's call.
that's right.
Yeah, look, I agree.
It's like boxing. Don't ever let it go to the judges.
Absolutely.
Look, I completely agree, and I know that it's a great...
He just doesn't like dice still.
I still don't
He
like
wants a
dice.
card mechanic at the end.
This one doesn't even have numbers on it. I'm still not a big fan. Because it is... I mean, it literally... That game, I felt that after 2 hours of play...
Yep.
It shouldn't have come down to flip a coin. Which is basically what that dice
I
does.
think, though, that the game was just that close.
Yeah, look, I
It
agree. I'm not saying one side over the other. I'm just saying, to me, because I was on the losing side of that dice roll...
But the only reason...
And
is
even
because-
if I won,
Can we just
I'd think...
explain it to the way it worked, though? Was that essentially it was he'd been bitten.
That's right.
He'd been bitten.
Yeah.
It was whether he was going to be alive or not at the end of
Totally.
the game.
Bitten
to
with
keep-
one health point.
The loot.
Yeah. And if he died, we win.
Yep.
If he
Because you had more
survived,
loot
you won.
counters.
Now that's to me, that's fair. There's
Yeah.
no issues with that at,
It was
at
fun.
all. That isn't like some weird or crappy way
Yeah.
of solving it. It was like, is he going to die from this zombie bite
Yep.
or not?
Okay.
That's thematic.
You are listening to Power Stance Gamers. And now, this.
Another question for you. Accessibility. How easy is it to, number one, get the game? And I suppose a flip side of that is how easy is it to, get into it, crack it open, read the rules and
Get the
play.
game. If there are gaming stores out there that do not have this on the shelf,
Who
I'd
are
be
they?
surprised.
Mm.
Yeah.
So very easy to buy.
And
Easiest thing you
online
want, just jump
retailers.
on the Mantic website.
Mm.
It's that easy. But there's plenty of local companies that are selling it.
Yep.
And as far as cracking that box open and getting into
There's
it,
no quick start rules.
Yes,
There is quick start rules?
Yes, there
Oh,
is.
right.
Quick start
Well, why didn't we
rules,
do that?
Quick start
That's off-
because
scenarios.
we'd already played a game before.
Well, I know, but it's just for the sake of...
So
at
yeah,
least-
it's out of the box. It walks you through all of the concepts
Yep.
and the
Right.
quick start rules.
I did not
yeah.
know that.
but the rules to expand on some things that aren't
Yeah.
necessarily in there.
I will say that the rules can be confusing at times.
Yep.
There's a lot of text, not a lot of diagrams, and I think that
but once
can
you,
be
right.
confusing.
yeah,
for
once
a
you play it, it just seems to streamline.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we seem to.
Is
have,
there YouTube videos showing
Oh, yeah.
people like
Mantic's-
Mantic YouTube videos?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And what sort of age group would you say?
It depends. Like, if you're worried about your kids playing with zombies, you know,
More complexity of rules.
I don't.
I'm not too fussed about my kids playing with zombies.
Yeah,
Oh.
it depends. It's like X-Wing. If you want to play with the box kit,
Yep.
it's accessible for kids. If you want to take it further and equip your guys and buy the boosters and get the extra characters and play
Explain. Sorry,
different
kids.
scenarios.
What sort of age level would you say?
Oh,
kids?
8.
Oh, I think 10 plus easy.
10 plus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
But
don't.
it's the same as anything. Like you could easily modify rules.
Yeah,
like-
there's something that the kids aren't quite getting. You just change it up a bit.
Yeah, it's not going to break the game by saying all guns only cause noise instead of mayhem.
Yeah.
So it's only bringing one zombie to you instead of every zombie within 10
Yep.
kind of thing. So
Yep.
Okay.
you could easily modify it there.
There's no charts. There's no
Yeah.
having to flip through all the rule book and constantly look up a chart. And
But that's it. You go, all right, look at your card. What does Andrea shoot? Oh, she shows 3
Yeah,
blue
it
dice.
tells
She
you,
goes,
oh,
yeah.
I'm attacking in melee. I've got a red dice, and I've got some weapon, and it adds an extra red dice. All right, so I'm throwing 2 dice.
Cool. Well, it sounds like Walking Dead All Out War is a bit of a hit. Jacob, what would you score it out of 5 stars?
Looking for it was
Ooh.
5
stars?
dice?
5 dice.
What am I talking
Come
about? As
on.
if I'm reviewing a movie.
Gaming
Yeah.
podcast.
I think I'd have to break it down into a couple of... I'd have to give it 2 scores, basically.
Oh, here
Are
we
you
go.
joking me?
Don't-
What's he doing? You're doing what I
don't
do.
you
Knock
start.
it off.
Don't you start.
I'm
Buddy.
interested.
Only I'm allowed to do that.
Categories are.
That's my thing.
I would say as a board game, out of the box, I'd give it 3.
Right. That's interesting.
And I'd give it 3 because there's not a lot of depth there, okay? Your basic kit is exactly that, gets you off the ground. To me, the reason I would give it 5 dice, and I would give it 5 dice, is the
Tabletop.
potential to it. Okay, as soon as you turn it into that tabletop game, by getting the board, getting the terrain, theming up a crew, painting your miniatures, it's gorgeous.
It totally transforms this game.
It does. So if we're going to say out of the box, 3, but the potential there to bring it to a 5 dice game is absolutely paramount.
That's very fair, and I can't disagree with you there.
You can't give it. You're going to give 2 scores as well.
Well, it is a hybrid.
Hang on, we should explain to our listeners our scale that we're scoring this at. So, the Power Stance Gamers podcast metric is based on 5 dice, being we'll go out straight away and buy it, whereas a 3 is average, and you may or may not. You're not going to run out straight away and buy it. You may do further down the track.
Yeah,
average essentially.
I'm going to review this game. I'm going to score it on a tabletop version. Though,
okay. Yep.
Because that's what
how
my
you play
games
it.
are. I'm not a board game player, so for those people out there that are board game players, probably go with Jacob's scoring. I'm rating this on a tabletop, and it's 5 dice for the win. It is easy to play. It is fun. The miniatures are all one piece. So they're easy, they're fun, easy to paint. Put a couple of trees on a board, a couple of houses here and there, a couple of parked cars, and
We'll
looks
show off our
$1 million
boards.
bucks. And you cannot help but get into that cinematic feeling where
Zombie apocalypse.
you're just looking at the models and the angles, and it looks, seriously guys, if you're playing this as a board game out there right now, get some terrain, and seriously, this game comes to life.
Any terrain companies you'd recommend specifically for the sort of the period, or
you
just
put me on
whatever?
the spot here, but
Mantic's terrain that they included in the Kickstarter, and you can buy the box of terrain that comes with it.
they've got some cars, plastic cars, and some barricades and all that. That stuff's all fine. But
Can I say that
the cars
the
you can
cars are great scale for any 28mm game.
yeah,
You're playing your Moderns, you're playing Infinity.
Yep.
It's a good pickup for any terrain.
but you can
might
just pick
use.
them up from your local toy
Yeah, you
shop
can buy
too.
them as a pack.
Dirty
yeah,
them
you can-
up, and they look $1 million.
And that's what I did. I just bought die-cast cars from
And
Toys
you've
R
got
Us.
trucks and motorbikes and all sorts of
Yeah, I
stuff
went a
now.
bit silly. That's
Yeah.
unlike me, I know.
So, yeah. I'm trying to think of the company I went and got my all my buildings through. I can't.
Is it Foreground?
Yeah, I think Foreground. Yeah, it is. Yep. The Chicago Way. I went the Chicago Way line.
I have to say, looking at the buildings on the board, it totally suits the scene.
Yeah,
you're trying to build.
and
Totally suits it.
you whack a few trees on, and everyone knows how to get a bunch of trees on there.
Yeah.
And look, seriously.
I got a couple of bits and pieces from TT Combat.
Yep.
Yeah, they're good.
Was
No,
Was
good
that the gas station?
That was a gas station
Yeah.
and a few other bits and pieces.
Yep.
And some tents I finally found.
Tents
For
for the campsite. Yep. Another one of those iconic things. I'm coming at it more from the TV show.
Well,
than
yeah,
the
both.
comic book, but
It's
it's
Survivors,
perfect.
Atlanta Survivors.
Exactly.
campsite, Yeah.
Exactly.
Cool. All right. Anything else to add?
I want to hear your thoughts, Greg. We haven't heard your opinion on the game.
Well, I've only played it once, and that was 5 months ago. And then Muddy just ran me through it there now. For half an hour we went through it.
Yep.
I would say, if I was to give it a score, I would score it at a 4.
A 4?
Yeah.
4 dice?
Yep. I
Yep.
wouldn't run out straight away and buy it, but
Yep.
from what you guys have said, I would want to play more, and probably from that, I would probably then buy it.
Yep.
Or certainly buy a crew. Maybe not buy the game because I don't need it, because we've got 3 copies amongst us, including Sloppy Sloth Slayer.
Yeah.
So between us, you've already got 3 copies. So I would certainly potentially look at getting a crew.
I'm going to sum it up with this. This is all the listeners need to know. Jacob went out and bought a Mantic game, and he's been buying boosters and terrain. Now, if that doesn't sell you to something from Mantic,
He does have
Yeah.
a heap of the Walking Dead comics, though.
doesn't matter. He is hook,
He's
line,
a big
and
fan.
sinker.
He's like
into this
he's the
game,
number 1 fan.
and he
That's it.
hates it. He hates
I
it.
want to hate this game
He
more
does.
than I do, but I can't.
He
I
can't.
actually
So,
really
look, guys,
enjoy it.
If Jacob's on board with this thing, I think everyone who's even remotely interested in Walking Dead, the TV show, Walking Dead, the comic book series, or any other zombie type apocalypse IP that you're into, if you're even remotely into that stuff, you probably will find a place for this in your collection.
Yeah, I'd agree with that 100%.
Well said, Muddy.
Yeah,
Well said.
that's a good place to wrap up. Thank you, Jacob. Thank you, Muddy, for your insights.
Thanks for all your questions, Greg. It was
Cheers.
really nice. Can I just get the listeners to make sure that you are following us on Facebook, you've liked our page, that you've downloading this either through iTunes or the Podbean app, that you're following our YouTube channel. We've got Twitter as well, apparently. There's a whole bunch of ways you can get in touch with us. Let us know in the future whether you want us to review any games, any suggestions there. Tell us how wrong we are about liking Mantic games in particular. And that's pretty much it. So until next time, good night.
Good night.
Cheers.
Thank you for listening to Power Stance Gamers, the #1 place for tabletop banter. You know you love us. See you soon.
It's Eternal and Mixwell on the track once again, killing it. T-Dot to Munch, we all connection, funk resurrection. Ha! Yeah.